In this video, we're going to be talking all about songwriting, the songwriting process, some songwriting tips, and answering your questions about the songwriting process. So we're going to get started in just a moment. Now, I'm supposed to tell you right up the front here that you need to watch the whole show and you should stay to the end because there's going to be some big surprise. Sorry to bury the lead, but no, what I wanted to do here is go through some highlights. I've actually got my top 5 songwriting tips. So the first 10 minutes, once we get through this intro, is going to be devoted to that because I value your time and I know what it's like when you're wading through things and you've got a lot of things to do. So if you've got 10 minutes, hang around. We'll jump into those top 5 tips really soon. And then for those that want the deep dive, those that want all the really interesting little tidbits of information and want to ask your own questions, you can stick around to the end. But if it is your first time here, you're probably thinking, who's this guy and what is he doing? Well, my name is Pete and this is Studio Live Today, where my goal is to help you create, record and release your best music. And I do that through tutorials and tips and videos and live streams just like this one. So if that's your bag, consider subscribing. And if you get some value out of this today, if it's the sort of content that you like, hit the like button. That tells me that you're enjoying yourself and this is the sort of video I should do more of. Now, let's get in here and take a look. If you are here live and you've got comments and you want to ask questions, drop those down. Even if you just want to say g'day, then put your comment there. And I do have a question for you, which is, what is the biggest challenge you face in songwriting? So is it writing? Is it starting? Is it finishing? Is it writing choruses, writing verses, writing bridges, mixing, mastering, getting an idea, finishing your songs? What is it actually all about? So if you've got an answer to that question and you want to put some comments there, drop those in the comments here. If you're watching on the replay, I love you as well. You can leave your comments there and I'll definitely get back to them. If you've been around this channel, you know that I spend a long time in the comments answering everyone. So we're going to jump into those 5 top tips in a moment. But first of all, I asked a poll over on the community tab on my YouTube channel, and I wanted to find out, what is the hardest part of songwriting? So I asked this exact question to folks, and this is what we got here. So I said streaming live, talking all things as part of hashtag Songtember. If you don't know about hashtag Songtember, just search hashtag Songtember. You'll find out what we're doing about that, but we'll talk about it more later. What do you find the hardest part? So the hardest part is getting started. Clearly, by a landslide, 37% of the 115 folks who voted on this said starting their songs. And funnily enough, the second hardest thing is finishing. So I want to focus on that. I want to focus on helping you get started and helping you finish your songs so that you can share them with the world and get that feedback. So that is what we'll be looking at today. Now, again, I know I keep saying we'll get into those 5 tips, but I do want to say hello to the wonderful folks who are here live with us today. We've got Aramasia, who is here. Writer's block is the devil. Hello, Sauce Potato. Good point. Thank you. And Writer's block, so David M. All talking about Writer's block here as their ideas and their things. Hello, Keep Gang. Keeping you amused. How are you going? Hello to Tank on cleaning. Love to see you here. And we've got a question here which we'll come back to. Why made you start writing songs for? So yeah, having your purpose, your why of your songs is super important as well. So we will definitely get onto that. Hello, we've also got Just Because here. Hello to you. So there's other folks here that are live. If you do have your questions, then please get back and drop those in there. But for now, what are these tips? So what are we talking about these tips for writing songs? So I broke this down into the top 5 things that I have been asked, and based on the feedback that I've got from other people when I asked the poll, these are the top things we've got. Number 1 is all about keeping it simple. So the very fact that people are struggling to start and struggling to finish, I think keeping it simple, especially when you're starting out, is something that's super key, that's super important to make sure that you keep things simple. It's easy to overcomplicate things, and it's easy, especially when you're starting out, to think, I've got to have 4 verses and 3 different choruses and a bridge and an intro and an outro. Seriously, write yourself a 1-minute song. Write a really bad song, write whatever you want, but just get started and start doing it and keep it simple. Verse, chorus, verse is a thing because it's a thing, because a lot of songs are verse, chorus, verse, rinse and repeat. Get that done, and that will be the best advice I can give you right up front is simplify your process. Don't make it hard on yourself. Seriously, there's too many things that are hard in life. Songwriting doesn't have to be. Keep it simple. Number 2 is Don't stress about being original. So, a lot of folks in their comments and in their questions talked about it's really hard to come up with an idea. And I mentioned this in a songwriting video during the week that it's really hard. When you start writing a song, you're like, oh no, this sounds just like that Foo Fighters song I was just listening to, or this sounds just like a classic Nirvana song that I like. Yeah, it does, because you know why? Because there's 8 notes in any scale. There's like 4 or 5 chords that sound good together. So, look, like every time you write something, if you write something, sorry, I'm gonna get my guitar here. If you write something in that or in a, yeah, there's a reason why all the classic songs kind of sound the same, and they all use very similar chord patterns and chord progressions, because that is what sounds good. You could write a song that's, sorry, I'm got the guitar. You could write a song that's C, B, D, B, G, but like if you're all over the shop, it's not necessarily going to sound good unless that's what you're going for, a bit of jazz fusion. But anyway, I wanted to keep that. Don't stress about it sounding like everyone else's songs, because everything is going to have derivatives and everything's influenced by something else. Number 3. Add some of you into the mix. Now, this sounds weird, right? And you might say, what are you talking about here, Pete? Add me into the mix. If you're not a singer, a lot of people say, I'm not a vocalist, so I'm not going to put any of me in the mix. You don't have to sing in there. You can make sounds. You can make percussion sounds. You can hit your table and put that in the mix. You can make your own kick drum by just kicking a drum or kicking something. Found sounds are awesome. Go outside with your phone. Who doesn't have a smartphone that they can just take with them and go out and sample some sounds and throw that? Like, do something interesting. I think Aramasea during the week said it'd be cool to do a song that has like ambient noise all the way through, because I did a video during the week where I was out and about and there were birds around and ambient sounds, and he said, why wouldn't you, that would be a good idea in a song. And I'm like, yeah, do that. Do all these things. Like, just experiment and try different things. So add some of you into the mix is going to add to originality, and it also helps with things like making songs sound too much like other songs and being original and avoiding copyright and all those things, because if it's got you in it, no one else has recorded that exact sound that you're using. But if you're using all virtual instruments, all loops, all samples, someone else has probably used them in a similar way. Add you to the mix. Number 4, keep practicing songwriting. Songwriting is a skill. People might say, and I say this a lot, but they're like, wow, look, guy's an overnight success. He just naturally writes great songs. No, it takes a lot of people a long time to be overnight successes. It doesn't just happen. And there is natural ability in everything, but perseverance, dedication, commitment, and practice do help. And they do make the biggest difference. I was not as good a songwriter a year ago, and I was definitely not as good a songwriter 5 years, 10 years, 20 years ago. You improve over time. And how do you improve over time? Not only through practicing, well, it's number 5, isn't it? And yes, the hint there was with the starting and the finishing. We've talked about starting and some ideas and ways to get over that block, which we'll talk more about, but finishing. So finishing is so important. It doesn't matter how good or bad your song is, you need to finish it and you need to share it. You need to share your song with the world. You know why? It's the best way to improve, the best way to get feedback. How do you know if you're not getting feedback? Now, if you're writing and producing songs just for yourself, that is totally fine. If you write your song and then you love it and you listen to it, more power to you. You've already won. You don't have to worry about any of this. But if, like most of us, you want to share your music with other people and you want to make better music, sometimes we get a little bit narrow. We write a song and we get married to it and it's our baby and we want it to be awesome. And when we share it, that is the opportunity for other people to say, hey, I like this bit, but this bit I would consider changing and doing this. And your instant gut reaction might be, no, my baby, don't change my baby. But it is actually going to help you out, because it's going to expand your horizons, and it's going to give you opportunities to do more and different things. It also puts a nice bow at the end of the process. Hands up who's got a bunch of unfinished songs laying around. I know I do. I still do. I've written probably 50 songs and like completed 50 songs in my life, which probably closer to 70. Anyway, but they're the end ones. I've probably got 1,000 plus segments of songs and choruses of songs and song ideas that never got finished. Now, yes, I can go back to those ideas, and I have done that, and I've used some of them in other songs, but wouldn't I have been better off finishing 200 songs instead of half finishing 1,000, and then sharing those 100, the extra 100 that I did on top of it, and then getting feedback on those, and then improving my process? I think that would be a better idea. I don't know about you, but I think that would have been a better idea. So finish your song. Let's rehash those. If you're short on time and you're just here for the highlights package, keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate things. Don't watch a tutorial with a guy that's recording on 127 tracks and think you have to do that. 4 tracks is sometimes just as good. Don't stress about being original. You will get there and your song will sound like another song. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Number 3, add some of you into the mix. Make it original, make it your own, own it. Doesn't matter if you're not a vocalist, record something. Found sounds, all good stuff. Number 4, keep practicing, keep writing lots of songs. Practice is the way that you're going to get your songwriting muscle working out. You're going to pump that songwriting iron and some other weird analogy. And number 5 is finish. So make sure that you finish your songs. It's the best way to get feedback and it keeps you, it feels so good to finish your songs. It is a feeling of accomplishment. Alrighty, let's jump over here and chat to the folks, see if we have any questions here. And then we're going to jump over to the pre-prepared because I was lucky enough that I had a bunch of people that answered that poll that gave me some great quotes and some great points. So I'm going to jump in and talk about some of those. Hello, we've got, excuse me, we've got Kevin Sullivan here on the stream too. Aramasia raises his hand, so that was who's got a lot of unfinished songs, I'm sure. David M, I copied a Carlos Santana song, kind of cool. Yeah, hey. So, and I didn't mention it there, we'll mention it later, but even doing covers of songs is a really cool way to do that. Like, just do a cover, like learn how to play a song. It can be a great way to actually expand and learn what works in different songs. Kevin also says, yeah, sample the own environment. So your own samples of the environment can be really cool. If you need a bed underneath your song, I did it in my song called Summer. I was walking through the markets and it was that hustling, bustling market sound. And I'm like, I want to record this as the start of the song because it creates this ambience and this atmosphere that works really well. Hello to Bubba. It's great to see you here on the live stream. Gino, Therese, I think we've got a comment from Gino we're going to talk about later. Hello to you. Hello to Alan Cook. Great to have you on board here as well. And he says, sometimes playing between the guitar and ukulele shows me what works. Like shoes me. Excuse me. Cool. Soul Rack M7. It's Carlito. Hello to you. How are you, my friend? And we've got Victor Isbells. For me, the hardest part is to find something to write about. Yes, we'll be talking about lyrics and inspiration and some tips and tricks for doing better with that as we continue on. Let's just, and it relates to this one, sauce potato, just write some words. Yeah, just write some words. That can work out well for you. Hello, Tom Rochelle, who is here as well. Hello to you. Mitchell McKenzie, great to see you here on the stream. The maddest man out there. Love some of these names, by the way. Keep making cool names. I like to say them. Just don't make them hard to pronounce because I struggle with that. Where did I put that one? There we go. So thank you to everyone here. Now, I did have a question. So I was here, the maddest man out there. Why made you start writing songs for? So why do you write songs? What is your why? We had a live stream that I did with Mike that I usually do on a Thursday night or a Friday morning for some of you, and we talked about songwriting, and the guys there gave their top 5 tips, and finding your why, starting with the why, is something that we talked a lot about. So why do you write songs? And I alluded to it before. Do you write them just for you? Do you write them to share with other people? Do you write them as a bit of a cathartic stress relief or a way to express your emotions? Do you write them to have fun and just enjoy yourself? Do you write them to rock out and get rid of all that pent up anger and frustration? Do you write rock music to do that? Do you write beats and rap music because you just like the sound of beats and rapping over them? So yes, finding your why and starting with that. I talked about it during the week. I did a video around strategy versus execution or versus tactics, and your strategy is really your why statement. So why do I run Studio Live today? Well, it's to help you create, record, and release your best music. So every time I do a video and every time I'm talking and every time I'm answering a comment, that's in my head. If you have your strategy for your songwriting, then it's going to help you because it's going to make sure, so it might actually relax you. Because again, when people give feedback about songs or when people are talking about creating music, they often get very stressed because they compare themselves to other people. They compare themselves to people who've been doing it for a lot longer than them, and they get stressed out about that. If your why is, I just want to have fun and share some tunes, you don't have to worry about that. It's actually really nice. It's a good feeling to have because you're often worrying and stressing about things that you don't even care about. Like, start considering what you actually care about and why you are writing songs. Before you start, it's going to clear your mind and it's going to give you this freedom that you probably didn't know was there, which is going to really help with your songwriting process. So, excellent question and a good one to kick us off with, starting with why. All righty. And a good note here from Kevin Sullivan. Words don't always convey what's in your head in the beginning. Exactly. So yes, you can. Sometimes it gets a bit cryptic, and you don't even really know what's in your head until you start writing. And I'll give you some tips about some great ways to do that. Now, hello to Laurie Jude as well here. So hardest part is keeping time. Yes, we're going to talk about that. I've got your comment saved up here that we'll be jumping into in a moment. In fact, let's do that right now. Let's go over and start looking at the comments from folks during the week. So we'll jump over to my screen here. So Josep Forti said the build-up is what their biggest challenge with songwriting is. So yeah, especially if you're writing sort of EDM, electronic music, then yeah, getting that nice build is hard. And yeah, the classic build is the thing that goes do 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 do, and then you drop. And yeah, how many songs have done that? If you've listened to electronic music, you're like, oh, here we go, here's the build, and it's building up, and it's doubling its speed, and it's doubling its speed, and it's doubling its speed. Oh, there's the drop. So yeah, finding a way to get a build up that actually works. And I'm not an electronic producer by any means, but yeah, doing things differently. And again, trial and error, practicing, writing lots of songs, doing things over and over again, all these things are going to help you. And yes, getting a build up that's going to work for you. Whoop, we've skipped over one. We've skipped straight to Laurie. But first we want to talk about the hardest part is the whole thing, trying to come up with something original, like every good riff ever is already used. Yeah, who has that feeling again? Hands up. Yeah, every cool riff, every cool idea is already being used. Well, we talked about this a little bit, about being original. And as I said, the reality of this is that your song will 100% sound like other songs. And that is not a bad thing. Like, don't stress out about your song sounding like other songs. It's going to happen. Like, there's an Australian group called the Axis of Awesome, and they did the 4 chord song. And basically, they played about 100 different pop and rock songs that all use the exact same. The 1, 6, 4, 5, I think it was that classic one. I think Oasis Wonderwall. I won't play it because then we'll get a copyright strike, and we don't want to do that. But yeah, think about those sort of songs. Yeah, they all use the same chord progression. And that's okay, because adding you to the mix and changing things up is what's going to make it your song. So yeah, don't stress so much about that. There's only 12 notes in modern Western music. So between a C and a C, you only got 12 notes in there. That's not a lot of space to work with. And then yeah, you're in your next octave, but it's the same 12 notes. So I know, you think you've got 88 keys on a piano. You only got 12 notes. Like, that's what you got to think about. And stressing about making those 12 notes completely different from any other 12 notes is not going to be a great use of your time. And yeah, there's only a certain number of chords that sound together. Like I showed you that demo earlier. Yeah, you can play random chords together. And again, you might be some cool, funky jazz fusion thing going on there, but it's probably not going to sound good. Like, the reason that the same chords get used again and again is that they sound good. So yes, don't stress so much about being original and worrying so much about using a riff that's already being used. So everything old is new again. And look at the music these days. How many are just recycling old beats and loops and samples from other songs? So yes, originality is good, but it's not essential. It's not something you 100% need to have on every song and that you need to worry about. Once you get to the end of the song, if it's exactly ABBA's Dancing Queen, then you've got a problem. Apart from that, you'll be fine. Laurie Jude. So we have Laurie here on the live stream. Hello to you, Laurie. Thanks for making it here live. Keeping time on the grid while playing guitar, which makes it difficult to be able to actually use my own playing alongside GarageBand's virtual instruments. This one is massive, and I'm glad that you raised this, Laurie, because I wanted to talk about it, and that is learning to play in a way that's going to help you record. So this one crosses over from songwriting into recording and releasing, but it's super relevant to songwriting, because here's the thing. When you start out, right, you're playing your stuff. So say you're a guitarist or you're a piano player or whatever you happen to be, and you'll play like this, and you'll just be able to be cruising along, doing your thing. The thing is, what BPM was I playing there? I got no idea. And I don't know about you, but whenever I play a song, put that aside, whenever I play a song, if I listen at the start and then skip 3 minutes to the end, if I'm just doing a simple recording of a song, I'm always playing faster. For some reason, I speed up in every song I play. So for me, playing on a grid is tough because I tend to get ahead of the beat. And playing to a click track or a metronome can be super tough for that same reason. So, what can you do about it? How can you learn this pretty essential skill? Well, a lot of it is about what you're playing along to and the practice you get. So I've got two children, and I'm already teaching them to play along to music because being able to play along to music and to be able to stay on the grid. My daughter's learning drums, and she had a drum lesson yesterday, and she was playing along to some tracks. And similar to me, she's inherited my ability to speed up. So she would keep getting ahead of the beat and have to go back. And luckily, she's learning this at 9, and I'm sitting here at 40 still trying to learn it. I know a lot of people are with the same sort of thing. So practicing along to songs. And this is why people that poo-poo cover songs and learning to play cover songs, learning to play along with your favorite songs does a couple of things. It teaches you about great song structure. One, it teaches you about great song structure and how to get a quality song written because you're learning the chord progressions, you're learning how the structure of that song works. And number two, you're actually practicing playing along with a professional drummer, with someone who is, or with a band that's actually really tight. If they're a good band and they're playing nicely, you're playing along with that music. So that's tip number one to solve this problem that Laurie's raised here. Not problem, but to learn and to enhance this pretty essential skill. The other thing is that when you're playing along, if you've been recording for a while, you'd know that there's something called a click track or a metronome, and it goes like this. It goes, so it's called a click track. Sometimes it's like a tick, tock, 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 tick. Anyway, who's inspired by that? Who wants to rock out to tick, tock, tock, tock? Not me, not anyone else that I know of. So if you are having this issue, my biggest suggestion is very early in your songwriting process, get a drum beat. It can be a drum machine loop, it can be a beat, it can be virtual drums, it can be you hitting a snare drum, I don't care. Just get something that is going to be more realistic to actual drums, that is going to be in the groove that you're actually trying to record, because that is going to help you so much more than anything else to be able to actually record and to be in the pocket and be recording along with a groove that is not tick tock tock tock, that is actually and that you're going to be able to find, especially if you're playing guitar or keyboards or singing, you're going to be able to sit in the pocket a whole lot easier. So an excellent question from you there, Laurie, and yeah, I wanted to talk about that because again, it's a skill and it's something you can learn. Some people are naturally more able to play on the grid and to play in time. Some people like me get ahead, some people get behind. You struggle, practice is the key. All right, let's jump into our next one. Jane Doe, yes, Jane Doe says the bridge. Take us to the bridge, Jane. What are we talking about when we talk about a bridge? Well, let's define a bridge. A bridge is called so because it bridges one section to another. So generally, it is to bridge one part of the song to another part of the song. And it's a little interlude that goes between those two. Now, in more modern music, it generally takes the form of a different chord progression, so a different kind of pattern that you put in your song. So you might get halfway through your song and it might be a change in the chord progression. It might be a complete change of key. It might be a change in the style. You might add instrumentation. You might lose instrumentation. So there's a bunch of different things that a bridge will do. Again, the best advice here is to keep it simple. Right back to that first question and ask, do you even need a bridge? So a lot of people said, oh, I've got this great song. It sounds like this, but I just can't work out what to do for the bridge. And I'm like, the song sounds great. It's like, but it doesn't have a bridge. I'm like, sometimes verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus works. If you're varying up the choruses and the verses enough, or you have some sort of interlude or just some sort of break, or you change your instrumentation, sometimes you don't need a bridge. Like listen to modern music. How much modern music ever some modern music sits on one chord the entire song. Like a lot of beat-driven music and electronic music, they sit on one chord for the whole song. So they don't you don't always have to have a bridge. So again, keeping it simple. Don't add a bridge because you think it needs a bridge. But if you are adding a bridge, just think about how can you complement the song with something that is not completely different, but is different enough to draw attention. So if you're getting to the part of the song and you're thinking, the reason I want a bridge is because this song is boring, then that's a good reason to add a bridge. But you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to change things 100%. So yes, bridge if you want to, don't if you don't want to. I'll jump back here and just make sure, check in with the live folks, see if we have any questions or comments on this stuff here. So here's a good question from Laurie on the beats on the BPM. Is there a program you can put your song into that will reveal the BPM? If not, any tips on discovering the BPM so you can set it? Yeah. So my tip to discovering the BPM. So first, to answer your first question, I'm not sure. I used to use a program on my PC way back in the day that did that. You could import the song. It was like a DJ program, and it would tell you the BPM. But I go a bit old school and simple with this, which is that I generally play the chorus. The chorus of your song is the part that is going to be the most relevant. So what I do, most DAWs, GarageBand included, will have a way that you can tap in your beats per minute, tap in your tempo. So what I do is I record myself playing my chorus just to my voice recorder or to video on my phone, and then I will go away and tap in that beat. So I'll play it back to myself and I'll tap the beat into GarageBand as I'm listening to my own recording. So that is the way that I actually do it. So make sure that I get it about that. And the reason I do chorus is because that's usually the speed at which your song's going to sound best. Your verses can reveal some of that, but I tend to find that I write too slow. My verses drag a bit, and then when I get to the chorus is too draggy. So I want to push it along a bit, but maybe that's just me. Aramasia says my Songtember song is lead in, verse, chorus, verse, double chorus. Yeah, I love a good double chorus. I put double choruses at the end an awful lot. Good question here. Just because, can I use my iPhone solely for recording or mixing without a SIM card or phone contract? Yes, you can. In fact, my daughter uses my old iPhone 5 as her device just for apps and just for music creation. So very, very cool. Learning instruments like drums. David M. Learning instruments like drums can help you keep in time. Yes, one of the main reasons that I wanted to get my daughter to learn drums. She's learnt piano. She did piano for 4 or 5 years. Got a bit bored with that, and now she's learning drums. And I'm loving the fact she's learning drums because, yes, I think it's a great way for her to actually learn a lot about rhythm, a lot about keeping time, and that's going to help her in all manners of music. 100%. So Tom has a question here, or a comment, sorry. Hardest part for me is getting past just a really interesting 8-bar section and creating verses, bridge, transitions, intro, outro to get a complete song. 100%, that is the hardest thing to do, is to, yeah, it's easy to write an 8-bar loop, especially these days. Like a lot of software, a lot of platforms are kind of built around writing 8-bar loops, not really built around writing entire songs. So it's a great point, and it can be something that is super hard to get to. Hopefully some of the tips in this video and in other videos here on the channel and watching my process through the month of Songtember, #Songtember, is going to help you and help others to sort of see some of the process. And again, you don't have to do everything that I do. As I've said a bunch of times, songwriting and any process in music is subjective and it's different for every person. So don't do things just because Pete does them, and don't do things just because random person does them. You don't have to do that at all. So Mitchell says, Pete, when I listen to my vocals, it sounds I'm talking, not singing. How can I get good rhythm in my voice where it sounds like I'm singing? So 2 things on this. If it's worrying you, if you don't think it sounds good, then yes, you can develop that and you can try different things to make it sound like you're singing and not talking. But there are plenty of people who sound like they're talking when they're singing, and it actually really works for them. So there's plenty of people like David Byrne. If you think of a lot of his songs, he just kind of talks through. Bob Dylan sang through hundreds of really good songs. So yeah, there are examples of folks that can do it. So if you're concerned about it though, and you don't like the way it sounds, then yeah, you can work on it. And the biggest tip that I have on this one is what people do when they're starting out, and it's 100% natural. So I'm not saying this to make you feel bad if this is what you do, because I did this and I still do this, and that is that we sing within ourselves. So we sort of just talk like this. So when I'm singing a song, so I've got a song called Summer, and I'd go, if I wanted to sing it, I'd sing like this, right? So this is how I actually sing. It's like, only the rain keeps me company. And what I'm getting in my voice there, the reason it's sounding so sing-song is, I'm closing my eyes, I'm getting back, I'm feeling it, like you're getting the passion. Like if you ever watch someone sing and they're like closing their eyes and they're clenching their fist, that's the sort of thing you do. When I started out, and what a lot of people starting out do is you're self-conscious, so you sing what I call within yourself. So you'll sing like this, only the rain keeps me company, falling from high. So yes, it's sounding okay, but it's sounding like yeah, I'm talking as opposed to singing. So if you have that, and it might work for some songs, it works. So if you want a real sort of like melancholy kind of sound, but if you want to belt out a rock song or a really powerful ballad, then yeah, letting go, singing at 100%. So don't restrict yourself to 70%, 80%. Push yourself to 100% and sing. And my tip for that is find a time when everyone's out of the house, when no one's around, and you're just by yourself, and you don't have to release it, you don't have to do anything with it. But sing twice. Sing one time, pretending that someone is standing right behind you, watching you, and then sing again, but just let go. Like sing like no one's listening because they're not. And then compare the difference. I think you'll be absolutely shocked how good it sounds. You might think, oh, that's over the top. Like, I can't believe it. No, it wouldn't work for me. It's not my style. Try it, because if you don't try it, you won't know. So that's my tip on that one, Mitchell. But thank you. Great question. Hello, one of my regulars here, Goth Demon 666. Disturbing name, but very nice person. So let us continue on. We've got some more things to jump through here. Joe Cocker, yes. Joe Cocker is an extreme example, Gino, of feeling it while singing. Yeah, you probably don't want to go, fill my heart with gladness, jig away. Oh, so that's all I can sing of that. Again, you might think I'm overly cautious of copyright, but trust me, it's a problem. Let's continue on here. We've got some more folks sharing some things. So Dion Tyler said, I wrote the first, pre, and the hook, and I'm done. I can't think anymore. There's new ideas coming, and that's why I have so many unfinished work. So we talked about this a little bit before. Let me just bring my notes back up. We talked about finishing your songs, and it's interesting. So how do you know when your song is done? So how do you know when it's actually finished and you can put a fork in it and say, there you go, it's done? There's actually a really good Joe Gilder. So Joe Gilder from Home Studio Corner, if you're not aware, he does some great videos. He's a great home studio recording dude, and he did a song about how to know when your song is done. So I'll try and put it down in the description afterwards, but search Joe Gilder, how to know when song done or mix is done or something like that, because it can be really difficult to actually finish a song and then know when it is actually finished. So my tip for this one, for you, Neon Tyler, is to get it done. Like when it's unfinished, just finish it. Even if it feels unfinished to you, if you're saying that you're getting bored with it or you don't know where to go with it and you want to move on to something else, finish it and move on. Like call it finished. There's something great about just finishing and sharing something. And you can even say, hey, this doesn't feel 100% finished, but I need to move on. Let me know what you think. And people may say, hey, this is actually really cool. This sounds like a finished piece. Like, just go with it. You're fine. Or, yeah, they might say, yeah, it would be really good if you had this. And again, sharing it is going to give you the ideas because, yeah, you might say, I've got this unfinished song. And someone might say, hey, a great idea would be what if you went to a bridge and you brought in this instrument and then you took out this one, then that would really add to it. And then you go, oh, okay, maybe I will revisit it. But you've got the added benefit of having input and feedback from someone else. So I think that is a great thing. The other thing I want to mention is Joey Helpish, who I interviewed recently. He's doing Songtember. By the way, I haven't actually said what Songtember is in this video. It is our September monthly songwriting challenge. So for the month of September, I'm writing, recording, and releasing a song, and I'm inviting you, everyone, to also contribute and to write, record, and release a song entirely in the month of September. So I was mentioning Joey Helpish. He's doing the same sort of thing. So yeah, search Joey Helpish, Helpish. It's the only one on the internet, as he likes to say. And yeah, he's doing his video, and he's talked about a lot about finishing songs as well, a lot about getting it done, and has provided some good tips and motivation in that. So definitely do that and check that out. Mastering. So Claudio says mastering, and yes, and I wanted to touch on this because mixing and mastering and music production in general, again, if I go back to my very first tip around keeping it simple, that is what I would go with. Here's the thing. When you start out, you don't know what you don't know. So you write songs, you record them, and then you put them out there. And then they're probably going to sound good. But then what you do is you go onto the internet, and you go to websites and YouTube channels like Studio Live Today, and other people are telling you, hey, here's how to mix your song, here's how to master your song, here's how to release your song. And you're like, I don't do any of that. I don't EQ my vocal all the time. I don't add compression to my guitars and drums. I don't do all the things. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe I need to learn how to do this. So my point there is you don't have to do everything every time. Once again, keep it simple. If it sounds good, it is good. So learning mixing techniques and learning how to master your tracks is important, but it's not rocket science. Like, honestly, it is not that it's not difficult, it is challenging to get a good mix and it is challenging to master a song. But think about what mixing and mastering is. Mixing used to be called balancing. So mix engineers used to be called balancing engineers. So balance engineers. So they would literally wear white coats and they would sit there and all they'd do, because everything was recorded live, they would make sure that they're balanced. So all the different instruments, all the different tracks are balanced correctly. So when you're talking about mixing, that's what it was originally. What we've done though is we've thrown in a bunch of other stuff. Mixing now includes adding effects, it includes EQing, it includes adding compression, it includes a whole bunch automation of volume. Really, all you're doing is making all the bits that you've recorded sound good together. Like that's it. If you wanted to one definitive statement, it's that you want all the bits that you're recording to all sound good together. Mastering, all that is taking that mix, taking all those bits that sound good together, that are at the right volume, that they complement each other, and then adding some final touches. And in its simplest form, all mastering is limiting. It's making sure if you've got a good quality mix, then and you want to keep it simple, just add a limiter plugin, like use GarageBand, use whatever app you want to use. I use Final Touch in iOS, a great mastering app. And sometimes all you need is just to make sure that you're bringing that overall level up a tiny little bit. So it's closer to 0 dB, which is like the top, that you don't want to go over that. If you go over 0 dB, you're clipping or peaking or distorting. So you want to bring everything up. That's really all you have to do. You can add a bit of EQ if you want to. If you're finding that it's too much in the treble, too much in the bass, you can add some compression and multi-band compression and all this fancy stuff, but it's not essential. And if it's sounding good, it is good. And again, keeping it simple. I know it's like my answer for everything, but honestly, I think where people fall over is that they think they have to be at this level and they think they have to be so advanced, but really, keeping it simple and making it sound good is what it's all about. Alrighty. We'll check back in with the folks that are here live, see if there's any other questions. I can't see any questions. But kind folks here having a chat. Just drink about 3 beers and... Here we go. I like maybe not the best advice here, Bubba, but just drink about 3 beers and you'll sing like a lark. Yeah, so if that is something that relieves your inhibitions and gets you doing it well, then yeah, maybe that helps you out. But no, I don't condone that. Drink lots of water though, because that will actually help your voice. And tea. Drink some nice herbal tea. Sorry, I said herbal tea because in Australia we say herbal, and then whenever I'm listening to Americans talk about herbs and they say herbs, I'm like, what's an herb? It's very strange. I'm just seeing if we have any other questions. So Kevin says, mixing is tougher than mastering by far. The feel of the song is most evident when mixing. Totally. So yeah, and that's why I say don't spend a heap of time worrying about your mastering. If you mix well and you have a solid final mix, your mastering should literally take you very little time. And I mean, unless you are releasing a song that you want to sell 1 million copies and like be one of, yeah, you might want to go to a mastering engineer and spend a lot of money to get someone that's a pro that's going to make it sound pristine. But for those of us in the home studio, your mastering shouldn't actually take that much and shouldn't take that much time. So Edgy Child says, tips on getting yourself out there. Good question, and there's a couple of meanings you could say getting yourself out there. If you're talking about promoting yourself out there through social media and through other methods, I've done a bunch of videos on this, and look, you might say, but you're not out there that much. But again, it's about the level that you want to be at, so what you actually want to do with it. But my biggest tip for getting yourself out there is engaging with others in communities. So if you want to get yourself out there, the mistake that I see a lot of folks making when they're creating, recording and releasing music is that they just want to share a link to their music. They feel that the scattergun approach of just dropping a link to their songs in as many places as possible is going to make the biggest difference. And I can assure you 110% that it doesn't. Things like for like, sub for sub, please check out my track, fire, lit. All of these things where you're just going into groups and you're going onto forum, you're going onto Reddit, your Instagram, your Snapchat, your Facebook groups, and you are just spamming those, that is not going to get you there. What I have found more successful and what more successful artists have done is engaging with a community. So I have many communities I engage with. I have Studio Live Today here on YouTube. I have a lot of Facebook groups that I'm very active in as well. And if I just went to those groups, or if I just went here and said, if every video on Studio Live Today was, here's my new song, it's fire, check it out, very quickly you would realize that I'm not adding value to you. I'm just trying to get value for me. So it's the whole give versus receive thing. And what a lot of folks do when they're trying to get themselves out there is that they go and they just start pushing out. They're trying to receive comments, likes, whatever it is, but they're not giving. And you kind of have to do about a 5-to-1 ratio. So if you are wanting to put your stuff out there, and you'll notice that. That's why I spend all the time in the comments. That's why I'm in my community tab. That's why I'm involved in Facebook groups, is because for every video, and I know I put a video out every day, for every one video I put out that's pushing things, that I'm saying, please watch my video, please like my video, I'm also contributing probably 10 times that much by putting comments in Facebook groups, by going into Reddit and commenting on other people's posts, by contributing, like liking other people's things and making real comments to other people's music on all of the other social platforms. It's my number one bit of advice for actually getting yourself out there. And too many people spend too much time on direct self-promotion, wanting to receive, not enough time wanting to give. But great question. And yes, and if you're looking at in terms of getting yourself out there, in terms of, if you're like me, if you're a card carrying introvert and you want to get yourself out there, yeah, just do it. Is a good advice there. But if that's daunting for you, think of it in terms of this. Start small, because this is your comfort zone, right? If you're wanting to get out there and you're not an out there kind of person, here's your comfort zone right now. You don't want to go to here. Like, don't go out to like a live performers night or go to a networking event live where you have to talk to people, because if you're like me, you won't enjoy that at all. But start here and then just slowly grow your comfort zone. So step one might be join a Facebook group and start chatting with people just in text. Cool, you're out to here. Number two might be start a YouTube channel and start sharing just your songs. Yeah, you're out to here. Number three might be add to your YouTube channel some voiceover of like some explanations of some of your songs. Okay, you're out to here. Number four might be, okay, actually start doing some videos where you're on camera. Okay, you're out here. Live video, live performance. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to go boom and just blow up like that and get yourself out of your comfort zone entirely. But if you start chipping away at it, it's like throwing the frog in a pot analogy, where, you know, if you put a frog into a pot of boiling water, it'll jump out. If you put a frog in a pot of water and then slowly turn up the temperature, and yes, I agree, this analogy is horrible because I don't want to boil frogs, but if you turn it up slowly, the frog will just get nice and warm and then it'll eventually get cooked. But you don't want to get cooked, but you know what I mean. Like, just that slowly spreading out comfort zone is a good thing. Green tea, yes, green tea is good if you're singing, good voice. We've got some questions here. Darren says, if I wanted to email you, I'll click it up here. If I wanted to email you directly and ask some questions to get started, could I do that, and where would I send it? Yes, you can, and you would send it to my email address, which is in the description below. I'll tell you as well. So it's pete@studiolivetoday.com. It's as simple as that. And I welcome any and all of you to email me. I can't always give you super context detailed responses all the time, because I do get a bunch of emails, but I'm always more than happy. I will always respond within at least a day or two. And yes, I'll always get back to you if you email me, if you've got specific questions or there's things that you want to work on or proposals or anything that you have. pete@studiolivetoday.com. Righty. And thank you. You're such a helpful person. You actually hear your subscribers instead of ignoring them. And that's something that I've wanted to do from day one. And again, not to pat myself on the back too hard, because I didn't do it well early, and it's taken me a while to learn that I figure that if people are taking the time to watch my content and comment and subscribe and do all of those good things, that the least I can do is acknowledge that. So as I mentioned just there with the email thing, I'm not going to always, if you write me 10 paragraphs, I'm not going to always be able to reply with 10 paragraphs, but I always want to acknowledge that, because again, there's so many things you can do these days, and we're in a society where attention spans are reducing, where there's so much choice of content, that if someone takes the time out to actually watch something that I'm producing, I'm pretty darn grateful for that. So I want to show that gratitude by making sure that I get it out there and join the community. So we've got a question here, I think, from Victor Isbells. Hello to you. If I release an EP instead of one song for Songtember, you'll buy only one song or the entire EP? I'm going to commit to you right now that I will buy your entire EP. So there you go. You have it here on record now, Victor. If you release an EP, I'm buying your EP. And now, don't everyone release an EP. People will be like, I've released a 27 track EP, Pete. It's only $20. Please buy it. And every song is like a 5 second sample of. Anyway. But yes, no, release. If you genuinely get an EP that you record, start to finish in September, and you can share with me a bit about the process and you release it at the end, go for it, mate. I will buy your EP. So Kevin says, I like what you're saying about expanding your comfort zone. Yeah, it's something that took me a long time to get to because instead of, and it's interesting because I'm working on some projects at the moment. And again, this is relevant to songwriting because it's the same sort of thing. When you're starting working on something and you're starting, it feels like this and it feels too big. And what I tend to do is I procrastinate starting the thing because it's here and I'm like, I can't do all that. Well, of course I can't do all of that. You can't do it all instantly, but what I can do is I can chunk it down. I can start with the concept here. So I'll tell you here, one of the things I'm working on is writing a book. So yes, because I want to write a book, I like writing and I've got a lot of things to say about music production and home recording and creating and releasing music. So, but writing a book is massive, yeah. But you know what's not hard is writing a page or writing 100 words or writing a section or writing an outline. So again, it's same with your comfort zone. Like you don't have to be boom. Like you're not going to write a book overnight. You're not going to become a card-carrying extrovert overnight, and you probably don't want to. Well, I definitely don't want to. But you can actually increase your comfort zone. You don't have to say, well, this is me, and this will always be me, and I can never change that. No. That is, as we say in Australia and in the UK, that is bollocks. You can change things if you want to. Righty. Let's continue on. Oh, Mitchell McKenzie, yes, you are in the Songtember challenge. I think I've seen you and I think I've acknowledged you. If I haven't, yes, do the Songtember thing. Cool. We will continue on. Here's an interesting one. I think is this related to our next question? Not quite. We'll return to that, David. You've got a good point there, and you've asked a question which we'll return to in a minute. But let's jump back over because I wanted to touch on something here raised by Thomas. Let me just check the clock here. We've got 10 minutes. So we're going to get through this. We've got a little bit sidetracked, but that was the whole point of this. I wanted to be interactive here and answer the questions and have a bit of Q&A. So hopefully you're getting some value out of this. If you have got value, would love it if you would hit the like button. It tells me you're having fun and you're getting value. And of course, share this or subscribe or do all those good YouTube things. I will appreciate you for it. Time. Tom says time, and I agree with time. So time is tough, and finding the time to do things is tricky. And I could go on a giant rant about time management and how to do things, but I'll keep it simple with this. And that is that time is obviously limited and you need to prioritize to get things done. So how did I go from someone writing no songs to someone who is doing a video a day, who's writing songs, who's creating music content, who's very active on social media? Well, yes, there was sacrifice. So I used to like playing video games and I used to play probably 20 hours of video games a week. Now I play maybe once a week as a bit of an outlet. Maybe I'll play an hour or 2 hours. I used to love movies and TV. I used to watch a lot of TV shows. But what I was finding is that I was getting overwhelmed with the number of TV shows I was trying to keep up with. So I selected a couple of TV shows that I continue to watch. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, since you're asking, is one of the shows that I watch. Pretty much the only show that I religiously watch now. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, very funny show. But yeah, I reduced down the amount of TV I watched. I'll still watch movies, so I still like to have the relaxed time, the downtime, watching some movies with my wife, with the kids, having that family time. But yeah, they were the things that I wanted to sacrifice, and that's what I did. I converted all that time into music and video creation time, and that's where I'm at now. Now, if you legitimately don't have the time to do things and you're that rushed, well, yeah, again, I think there's always things that you can look at that you can say, what am I doing that's working? What am I doing that isn't adding value or that's not actually making me feel as good as I think it is? And then how do I change that up? That's tip number one. Tip number two is taking advantage of the little windows of time. So the reason that I'm all about the mobile, the reason I'm all about GarageBand on mobile and doing things as you move around is that I do a lot of walking, I commute, I get out and about, and that's sort of my exercise and my downtime. But instead of it being complete downtime, I actually like to be stimulated as well. So if I'm finding there's ideas in the environment and I get songwriting ideas, I'll throw them down. If I get video ideas, I'll throw them down. And when I get back from a walk, I'll generally have a bunch of content of just notes that I've taken, and that drives what I do next. Because the hardest thing is sometimes you sit down and you're just trying to think about things and you're trying to do things, and that can be really tough because you're like, where do I start? But again, if you go out for a walk, you're walking around for an hour, and then you just every time you think of something, you note it down, you come back, you know what you're cracking on with. And my video ideas can honestly be that. I'll be walking around, I'll have an idea, I'll write it down, and then I'll do it. Or I'll be walking around, someone will have made a comment on one of my videos, and I'll go, hey, that's a great idea for a video. I'll make that video next, and I'll come home and literally sit down and script and do that video. So yes, time is a tough one, and I appreciate that people have limited time, but yeah, prioritize. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices and utilize those small windows of time. That's my two big tips. Seth, my buddy Seth here, the hardest part is either finishing or making it sound more human-like and making it have more personality. Starting's the easiest part. So Seth gets started easily, but yeah, making it sound more human. And this is a tough one. Did I make some notes about this? Yes, I did. Excuse me. Making it human. I've already discussed this, so I won't go into detail. I'll have a drink. Making it human is about adding some of you. And adding you to the mix can be anything that is going to be original and completely new and you. So yes, vocals are completely you and you. No one's ever sung the exact lines you're going to sing in exactly the same way that you're going to sing them. The same with any sound. Like you just can put some oohs and ahs behind your voice. You can literally grab a microphone, record in just you going, and put that as a pad, like sample that and put that as a pad underneath your song at like 10%. And that's just going to add that little bit of something additional to your song that you didn't have there. Or yeah, again, just do like a and just put that behind your song. I literally, so I wrote a song called Anxiety, and it has no percussion in there. But if you listen really carefully, when I was singing one of the backing vocals, I actually had a cardboard box. And the reason that that song sort of kicks along a bit is you don't really even notice it, but it's got like a heartbeat to it. Because as I was singing one of the vocals at the same time, I was tapping on a cardboard box. So it was like, you say the time for hope is gone and there is, and it's got this sort of beat going with it. So that was me adding that little bit of extra something to the song. So that's how I think you can add originality, is don't be afraid to grab something. Like toy instruments are cool. If you've got kids, grab their toy instruments and sample them and then find a way to use them in your tracks. Super fun and actually ends up sounding good. I used my daughter's, it's over there, I won't get up and get it, but she's got a little pink ukulele and I used that in one of my songs called Home. If you've listened to my album, Selfish Aware, I've got a song called Home, and I literally, that's the ukulele sound you hear is my daughter's pink toy ukulele. Well, it's actually a real ukulele, but it's a little one. Now, I have the hardest time writing lyrics. So this is mobile metal. And I think this is our last tip that we have here. Oh no, we've got Aramasea here. Sorry, Aramasea. Nearly missed you out. But you're here live as well, adding lots of value as you always do. So I have the hardest time with lyrics. And the reason I sort of someone mentioned this is... who was it? It was... now I've completely lost it. Here we go. David asked, lyrics first or melody first? This is a very good question, David. Lyrics first or melody first? I don't know. It depends. So if you have the hardest time writing lyrics, as Mobile Metal here does, then yeah, maybe you write all the music and then you find the lyrics that fit. If you're listening to my Songtember series of videos, you'll notice that I do all my music and then I don't even write lyrics. I do do-do-dos and da-da-das and ba-ba-bas. Like I sing along to the rhythm and trying to get the cadence of what I'm trying to record down and the melody, but I don't care about the lyrics. And then I work the lyrics around the music. Other people will write a poem and then they'll put it to music. So I think you can do it both ways. Now, if you're looking for tips, as Mobile Metal is here for how to actually do that, how to write your lyrics if you're having a hard time, there's something that I like to do, which is speed writing. So what is speed writing? I might do a video separately about this. Well, it's like speed thinking, speed writing. What you do, you give yourself 1 minute. So you put 1 minute on a timer and then you look around your environment. So I'm looking around my environment here and I see a light up there. So I see my light that I have shining on me when I do videos. So I'm like, okay, light. 60 seconds, go. Light, sunlight, summer, outdoors, activity, park, animals, playing, football, cricket, sports, summer, school's out, school holidays in summer, return to school, back to school. Know what I mean? So you spend a minute writing out all these concepts. You get one word and then you do word association for 1 minute. At the end of that, you will have this list of words. Now, you're not going to use all those words in a song, but like you said there, I went from light to back to school and end of summer. So now maybe I'm like, oh, end of summer. Okay, do it again. End of summer. Holidays, vacation, school, anxiety, depression. Like, you know what I mean? You can think about the different things that you do. And now, within less than 2 minutes, I'm now, oh, I've got this concept of this idea about the anxiety you feel when you go back from school after summer. So that's as quick as it can be. But the problem is you sit there and you think, you try to overdo it. You're like, what is this concept going to be? Let's write the whole thing. You know, let's do this whole big thing instead of chunking it down and finding a way to do it quickly. So that is my tip with lyric writing. I hope that helps folks out there. Lots of great comments. I'm really sorry that we're running really low on time. We've only got 5 minutes left here, and then I've got another show I'm doing over on my on the Facebook group, GarageBand Users. So if you are a GarageBand Users member, I will be live there in just over 5 minutes. Might be running a few minutes late there because so much good content here. I do want to quickly touch on this. Mastering, we've already touched on, and mixing, we have touched on. But because Amaracia, I think I say it differently, Amaracia, say it differently every time, don't I, buddy? Yes, I wanted to make sure that we called out on that. We have lyrics. Yeah, so we've talked about, hopefully some of those lyric ideas that I threw out there, Ray, can be ones that will be helpful for you. We've had ABBA, music production. We talked a lot about music production and the mixing and mastering process. And again, my big thing there is keep it simple. You will do well by keeping it simple. We have Delacy, so vocal assist app like good auto tune. Now, we probably don't have time to talk in depth about auto tune and tuning vocals here today, but yes, I do have videos on auto tune and using tuning. It is, it's a big topic, and whether you should and shouldn't use it, whether it's going to work or not work for you, it's a very personal thing. But I have had a few requests and questions about good apps or good plugins for tuning vocals and for tuning in general. So yes, I will cover those in some future videos. Coming up with words and putting pencils down and messing with the mix. Yes, how do you know when you're finished? How do you know when you're done? How do you know when it's time to stop? We've covered a lot of that here already today. So yes, hopefully some of the tips and some of the ideas I've given you today, and again, keep it simple. Seriously, I could have just said, keep it simple. I just left it at that. But I did want to give you some additional ideas. And there you go. We're back around to the start, which is where we started with, which is that starting and finishing can be some of the toughest things to do. Hello. We've got someone who's a great supporter of mine here, Ultimato. Should you export individual tracks in GarageBand iOS to mix and master afterwards? You can do. So you can send things. I tend to do everything, my mixing, my mastering, my everything directly in GarageBand. You can do it differently if you so desire. But do what works for you because, try different ways, definitely. And because of this problem, So sometimes you can do that. Merge down your tracks. It can be a good idea. But we'll talk about that offline. Yep, send me a note we'll make some time to chat about that because you've got some good questions and some good things that you're doing there. We are going to have to finish up. I'm really sorry. We've got some great folks here having good discussions here. As I mentioned, if you are a GarageBand user, jump over to the GarageBand users Facebook group. If you're not, even if you don't use GarageBand, we'll have you there. We might convince you that using GarageBand would be a good thing. But yes, I do have to jump over there live. But I wanted to say thank you to everyone who has been here live. If you're watching on the replay, thank you to you as well. I really appreciate you. Make sure you leave me a comment. If you are here live, go back to the video afterwards if you like and leave a comment there because the live comments tend to go away and you can review them. But if you want to make sure that your comment stays forever on this video, go and comment on the video once it's posted. You'll be able to see that. If you got some value out of this today, I would love for you to hit the like button. That would be cool. Thank you to those who have already subscribed. If you haven't already subscribed, hit the subscribe button and you'll get notified whenever I do live streams or whenever I release a video, which is every single day. We have a new video coming out. Head over to studiolivetoday.com. There you can check out things like my mailing list, my Patreon page, and if you go to petejohns.com, you can listen to my music. So if you say, hey, you've been talking for an hour about songwriting, I want to hear some of your songs. Well, go to petejohns.com. You can listen to my album. You can check that one. So thank you again. I hope you all have a great day, afternoon, evening, weekend, and I'll see you on the next one. See ya.